So what I want to talk about today is belief. I want to believe, and you do too. And in fact, I think my thesis here is that belief is the natural state of things. It is the default option. We just believe. We believe all sorts of things. Belief is natural. Disbelief, skepticism, science is not natural. It's more difficult. It's uncomfortable to not believe things. So like Fox Mulder on X-Files, who wants to believe in UFOs, well, we all do. And the reason for that is because we have a belief engine in our brains. Essentially, we are pattern-seeking primates. We connect the dots. A is connected to B, B is connected to C, and sometimes A really is connected to B. And that's called association learning. We find patterns. We make those connections, whether it's Pavlov's dog here associating the sound of the bell with the food, and then he salivates to the sound of the bell, or whether it's a Skinnerian rat in which he's having an association between his behavior and a reward for it, and therefore he repeats the behavior. In fact, what Skinner discovered is that if you put a pigeon in a box like this and he has to press one of these two keys and he tries to figure out what the pattern is, and you give him a little reward in the hopper box there, if you just randomly assign rewards such that there is no pattern, they will figure out any kind of pattern, and whatever they were doing just before they got the reward, they repeat that particular pattern. Sometimes it was even spinning around twice counterclockwise, once clockwise, and peck the key twice. And that's called superstition, and that, I'm afraid, we will always have with us.
In the Andromedans somewhere, there is someone who has a spirit guide named Kellie, who is human. You see how that operates? Because time doesn't exist. That's how I perceive it. I'm guidance right now on the Pleiades.
Oh my gosh, this is so cool. Yeah, I'm hearing all this stuff. I don't want to say I rejected all this stuff for a period of time, but it was kind of like I couldn't look at all the details because I had to figure out the big picture first. Yeah. And now the last 7 years when I'm like, okay, I've been out of Matrix a lot. Let's come back into the Matrix and have some fun. That's kind of where I am, is having Matrix fun. So yeah, I see all these different souls inside there, and then I can put on that filter because they're kind of right on top of each other. I put on that filter for them to divide themselves up and line themselves up so I can see them individually, but I still don't quite know where they're all from. Some souls are shaped like an amoeba. They're kind of oddly shaped, and
the plasma beings. There's a soul group that does that. There are skies right now. Many people call them sylphs.
Oh, okay. I know what you're talking about. Okay, so I see those.
Yes,
oh, I'm starting to connect the dots now. I'm back in the Matrix, having my fun. So this, I call it a spirit stick. I don't know what you call it, but I see either a glow, a misty white glow inside people, or a non-see-through, a very bright white light that's a stick. Some are straight, some are kind of bent and ragged looking. and before I died, I went outside, and it was like, okay, it looks like this famous thing is starting to happen. This might happen. Like I was doing television and all that, and I'm going to be doing a whole lot of stuff. And I have this body. This is all I have to work with, and this isn't going to work for me. It's not enough. So I'm seeing what I'm going to be doing. This isn't enough. So if I'm going to be doing this, you better help me. I was probably talking to my higher self, who knows at the time. I was yelling at the sky outside. And so I saw that spirit stick. I'm just using my word for it. It's roughly 6 feet tall. I've never measured it. That's a guess. It's about 6 feet tall and about 6 inches in diameter, roughly maybe 8 inches in diameter. So it came from like it's in another dimension, so it's okay. They can do this. It came like down the tree through all the branches down to the ground, and then it like laid itself down flat, went across the lawn towards me, and then it came up behind me and then went into my body. I don't know why I can't put my hands in the middle of my back, but then it went into my body. And then after that happened, it was like, holy crap, I felt enormous. I don't even know how to explain that. I felt huge. Like there were maybe 10 or 100 Kellies inside of me after that happened. Holy crap, I felt enormous. I don't even know how to explain that. I felt huge. Like there were maybe 10 or 100 Kellies inside of me after that happened.
Yeah.
Or maybe not Kellie's, but me.
They're versions of you. They're fractals of your own divinity. And the more you integrate your nature, the more oneness occurs, your gifts wake up. So what you're doing in a different way is you're working on the higher planes to be able to help people integrate each of those fractals of their divinity so that they can operate from a non-dualistic nature in the matrix system, which helps them break the matrix system, and then it no longer exists. That's what your work is doing.
Oh, that makes sense. Hey, you need to do this for me. It sounds like you got this down. I'm having to feel my way through this. Discover it myself. But I think that's important, is that I might not be where other people are or as advanced as other people, but I get it and I understand.
And it's actually really real, the spirit stick. I see it in the same way. And what's interesting is it was either right before or right after the show with you, a client of mine sent me a video. I don't know if you saw it. I copied you on it. But she sent me a video where she was doing... in her security cameras on her property, she kept getting unusual stuff, so she wanted to see what was going on. And what was happening was there were many soul groups that were coming in, and you could see the spirit stick. You could see it bouncing around her yard. Yeah. If management wants to come on and share it, if people want to see it, because I don't know where the video is. He's going to share it with us.
Wonderful. Yeah, so I think I was out of town when that happened.
He's going to put it on our screen here.
Okay. Yeah, I was out of town when that happened.
Holy crap. Check that out. Watch it. This is a spirit stick, people. These are all the fractals of your divinity operating. This was the most amazing thing. Check that out. There's
and it's kind of bent, because I do see some that are a little bit bent up like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and she shared quite a few of them. Can you play it again for us, Jim? It was really, really awesome when I saw it, because I'm like, this is exactly, look at it. See the fractals in each one?
Interesting.
And it just bounced around her yard. She had several examples of it, not just this one, but it just bounced around, and you could see the energy waves flowing behind it, through the ether as it would move. You could see the energy move behind it. And what I was seeing was each fractal. I could see the Pleiadian fractal in that stick, the Andromedan fractal. I was seeing each one, and it was really, really awesome. And it just completely verified, she caught what you're talking about right there on her, video camera.
Find meaningful patterns and infuse them with these sort of predatory or intentional agencies that I'll come back to. So, for example, what do you see here? It's a horse head, that's right. It looks like a horse, must be a horse. That's a pattern. And is it really a horse, or is it more like a frog? See, our pattern detection device, which appears to be located in the anterior cingulate cortex, it's our little sort of detection device there, can be easily fooled, and this is the problem. For example, what do you see here? Yes, of course, it's a cow. Once I prime the brain, it's called cognitive priming. Once I prime the brain to see it, it pops back out again, even without the pattern that I've imposed on it. And what do you see here? Some people see a Dalmatian dog. Yes, there it is. And there's the prime. So when I go back without the prime, your brain already has the model, so you can see it again. What do you see here? Planet Saturn. Yes, that's good. How about here? Just shout out anything you see. That's a good audience, Chris, because there's nothing in this. Well, allegedly there's nothing. This is an experiment done by Jennifer Whitson at UT Austin on corporate environments and whether uncertain feelings of uncertainty and out of control makes people see illusory patterns. That is, almost everybody sees the planet Saturn. People that are put in a condition of feeling out of control are more likely to see something in this, which is allegedly patternless. In other words, the propensity to feel these or find these patterns goes up when there's a lack of control. For example, baseball players are notoriously superstitious when they're batting, but not so much when they're fielding. Because fielders are successful 90 to 95% of the time. The best batters fail 7 out of 10 times. So their superstitions, their patternicities are all associated with feelings of lack of control and so forth. Done by Susan Blackmore, a psychologist in England, who showed subjects this degraded image and then ran a correlation between their scores on an ESP test. How much do they believe in the paranormal, supernatural, angels, and so forth. And those who scored high on the ESP scale tended to not only see more patterns in the degraded images, but incorrect patterns. Here is what you show subjects to fish. It's degraded 20%, 50%, and then the one I showed you, 70%. A similar experiment was done by another British psychologist named Peter Bruegger, who found significantly more patterns, meaningful patterns, were perceived on the right hemisphere via the left visual field than the left hemisphere. So if you present subjects the images such that it's going to end up on the right hemisphere instead of the left, then they're more likely to see patterns than if you put it on the left hemisphere. Our